one of the things I love about this record is that there's integrity. So there's a mistake, a blatant mistake, and it's very audible, but they left it all in.
Hello there, ladies and Brentlemen.
Wow, Brentlemen.
Hello there, ladies and Brentlemen. That one just came off the top of my head. I was like, I was going to say hello there, ladies and gentlemen. And then I remember your name was Brent.
There you go.
And how it could fit in, slid that in there.
Sometimes I worry about you, Alex.
Please don't. That's fine. I'll leave that to Karina. Leave that to my wife. She can worry about me.
All right.
I wonder what she's going to do with me.
What does she do with you, I wonder?
Well, I'm just thinking when we're older, like, I'm only going to get worse, you know? So, what's she going to do with me?
What is she going to do with you?
I don't know. We'll cross that bridge once we get there.
You guys can have your own show. She'll just take my place. You guys can... I don't know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, it'll be all country music, Brent. So, yeah. And it's going to be all country music, and it's all going to be like, I like this song because it sounded like the last song.
Ooh.
That's
an indictment of country.
There's some good country. There is some good country. I'm actually looking at Chris Stapleton right now. He's good.
Yep. I saw Marcus King a couple nights ago. And he was fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess like
tremendous.
Is he country though? Like, would he be classified as country? He's more blues.
I wouldn't call him country, but he's of the ilk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Country for me right now is very commodified. It's guys with V-neck t-shirts and cowboy hats and, you know what I mean, clean cut muscles and speaking of which,
just covering up my V-neck. I got no muscles to hide. I was just covering up my V-neck.
You're hiding the
I
muscles.
hear you though. That's exactly what it is. You're right, 100%. And I honestly, I can't even tell you what is country. Like, it's not country music. No, it really isn't. It's like, it's pop music on a country station or by a country artist or somebody with a country twang in their voice, or they're from Nashville.
That's right.
And that's really the only criteria they have for being country. But otherwise, it's just,
yeah. And that's all the way over on the other side of the scale, right? Because when I was a kid, I'd heard things like Tammy Wynette and Conway Twitty, and it was like "Can't Kill Yourself" kind of thing.
Yeah, country.
It's just like, oh my god,
yeah,
this is
right.
so depressing because it was so slow, and it was like my wife left me, and I'm drinking, and I don't know what to do, and it was like, good Lord, why do people listen to this music? You know?
Well, you know the old country joke, right, Brent? What happens if you play a country song backwards?
What?
The singer gets their house, their wife, and their car back.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And they sober up.
Yeah, that's what happens.
They never get drunk.
That's it. And they sober up. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, there's some good country. There's like, I definitely lean towards, and like, I know that's older country, but like, I'm talking like, it was country up to like the 90s. And then like the 2000s, from there, it was like, oh, what's going on with quote unquote country music? It's
been a funny kind of metamorphosis, right? So, you know, from that I was talking about into like Garth Brooks in the 90s, and it was massive. And then Shania Twain came along and popified it.
Right.
Now it's kind of something else, but I don't follow it closely, but it has morphed into a number of different things.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure has. And I mean, I don't want to stand here just knocking country music. I'm into some of it, but again, it's gotta sound like country. Like I can't stand this is like you're listening to a country station, a song comes on and it's considered country and it's nowhere close. That's the stuff that bugs me. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like, this is like no different than listening to, you know, the top 40 station. That's really all it is. So
I agree.
anyways, I digress, and I don't know how to segue comfortably from country music into Cheap Trick live at Budokan, but let's do it.
It ain't country. That's for sure.
It ain't country. That's right.
Ain't country.
That's for damn sure. Well, big shout out to Deeks, Scotch on the Rocks, for suggesting the live album.
Yes.
You had mentioned that somebody last week had on our 1 year anniversary show suggested we do a live album, and I remembered it was Deeks. So,
That's right.
Thank you, sir, for suggesting a live album to listen to.
Yes. Yeah. And this is a good one. You know, I thought about, I'd had 3 or 4 in my mind, and I think that this is a pretty good one at Budokan.
Cool. Yeah.
But you know, what do you think, Alex?
Well, yeah, I know. Well, I was actually interested in knowing like why this one, like, because we haven't really done anything close to what Cheap Trick really is musically. You know, the pop sort of what do you call it? What do you call it? Is it pop? What's that word? What's the term they call it?
Like power pop?
Power pop, glam pop, something like that. Power pop, yeah.
I don't hear it that way. I get why they're saying that, because it's basically raw guitar power with
right
melodies, right? Mm-hmm. But really, that's Boston too. I mean, so I don't know. I hear the potential for that, but I don't hear that in Cheap Trick. I hear a good raw rock and roll band that's maybe a little bit more melodic than a Van Halen or an Aerosmith.
Yeah. So this was cool. This was a cool listen. I've not been into Cheap Trick. I've never listened to any of their other stuff aside from Surrender, because Surrender was on Guitar Hero. And so was I don't think I Want You to Want Me, but I knew I Want You to Want Me. But these hit differently. These like whenever I thought of Cheap Trick or hear Cheap Trick or visualize Cheap Trick, I think of like not a really cool band. Like
really?
Throw rocks all you want, but it to me it's like, I don't know. They were just kind of like just uncool. I think.
So I want to hear. Talk to me about that. So I'm going to venture a guess. Okay. And here's my perception of Cheap Trick, just like super Cole's notes. The singer is very cool, Robin Zander. The bass player, also very cool, Tom Peterson. The guitar player is kind of a self-made geek. You know, he had this shtick where he wore a bow tie and a cardigan and a baseball cap. And he kind of, hammed it up on stage and stuff like that, like a wicked good guitar player with a great tone and cool guitars and all the rest of it. But, kind of did that. And then the drummer looked like, he watched those 70s cop movies and he was assigned desk duty. Like he's like a big guy with a mustache and glasses. He doesn't look like a rock star like at all. His name is Bunny Carlos. And like a cigarette like dangling out of his mouth while he's playing.
Yes.
So funny.
That was pretty badass.
And like this little drum stool that like I thought was always going to like collapse on him, the poor guy.
Snap, eh? Yeah.
But what a drummer. What a drummer. Yeah. Anyway, so sorry, I digress. Now, that was my impression of Cheap Trick, is that Xander's up front. So the band, they're cool. Like I thought they were a very cool band. You didn't.
Well, yeah, I don't know, man. I think it might have been when I heard them, it was that kind of like poppy, punky type of sound that I just wasn't really into, but when I listen to it now, I kind of like actually feel there's a lot of inspiration from Cheap Trick for a lot of like the late 90s, maybe even early 2000s pop punk bands,
absolutely.
And I think of, and when I felt like Stacy's Mom by Fountains of Wayne, that song, Stacy's Mom is like, there's like even parts of that I felt like came across in some of this music, or vice versa, whichever. So I kind of actually felt like this was, I never heard that before. I never really kind of had that correlation between Cheap Trick and 2000s and modern day sort of pop punk bands. So feel like they kind of helped inspire some of those bands.
I always liked that about Cheap Trick because they basically took Beatles melodies and put crunchy guitar riffs on top of them.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be a template that was used, certainly in, the 80s, but even in the 90s with, and beyond. Foo Fighters do something similar. Weezer, right? Like you can hear that there's a lot of Cheap Trick. I think that even Kurt Cobain from Nirvana joked once with somebody in an interview and said, "We sound just like Cheap Trick, just louder." He was probably kind of being a bit jokey, but that formula was tried and true, and Cheap Trick kind of did it maybe without even realizing it. In the late 70s.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It's a great sound that they do have. Once I started listening to, when I was really kind of getting into it, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great tones in their music. Again, I had heard Surrender before, and I had heard I Want You to Want Me before, but I never heard the live versions. And those songs always kind of stood out as like kind of, for me.
They're like You Shook Me All Night Longs, right? Because you just heard them so many times.
Basically. Not even so many times, but I heard them and I didn't like them. And I just wasn't, and they just never stood out to me, right? It was like, I was like, I don't like this. So I never was like, I'm going to go dig into Cheap Trick later on. So yeah, that's why I just never really stood out. But, I feel like it's like, again, that power pop, punkish sound they have. And, they do a cover of Ain't That a Shame, like a Fats Domino's tune. And I also feel like that's like a really good representation of who they are too, musically, like that kind of style, but, with overdrive. Yeah.
Well, Cheap Trick is very respectful of, those who came before them and also their peers. And we'll get into the songs and I'll explain that. I totally get what you're saying because, for the kind of passive music fan, you might breeze over Cheap Trick and go, yeah, I know the hits, whatever. But if you really get into them, there's a lot of reasons to like them. And I'm going to touch on some of those tonight.
Cool. Well, as always, I do a little bit of background checks on here on the bands just before we get into them. And, it sounds like this was an album that really represented the sound that they wanted to get out of like their previous two albums. And I could hear that. Like I could or not even hear that, but I could understand that. Everything sounds really awesome throughout this as a live album. Like crazy how good everything sounds.
And a lot of people slag the sonics of this record. Do you know who did this? Our old buddy Jack Douglas actually produced this record. Remember Jack from our Aerosmith
did he produce
shows?
the live one?
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of people complained that it sounded dull and kind of blunt, like it wasn't sharp enough. But the reason why is because he keeps that crowd track in the background as the songs play. A lot of producers mix that right down so that you can't hear it. But it was just like razor thin underneath and you can just hear it, and it adds kind of an echo. But for me, it's always added to the excitement of the record because you can hear, and those crowds. I think it was 12,000 people. And by the way, just really quickly, this wasn't actually Budokan. This was the Osaka show. Budokan, the show, wasn't deemed suitable to work with and release, so they actually used the Osaka record instead. So it's funny because when you hear the announcer at the beginning go. Yeah, he says, "Hey, hello, Tokyo," or whatever. All right, Tokyo. They use that for Budokan because Budokan's in Tokyo. But what you're hearing is the recording of the Osaka show on that tour. It's kind of funny. Anyway, 12,000 people at Osaka. And sometimes they drown out the band if you listen to the record. Like they're so excited and they're so loud. And I love that story. Because it's almost like a little Beatlemania bit, right? Like apparently when they came in, Cheap Trick was always very popular in Japan. And that's why they went over there and recorded this. and they threw flowers at the plane. The Japanese women did. Like they couldn't get enough of Cheap Trick. So I thought that it was cool, and I think the record sounds great, and it's exciting, and I'm glad that you get that too.
Okay, let's get into it. Hello There kicks it off.
Great tune and a great story. I don't know if you know this.
Cool.
Rick Nielsen wrote
know anything.
Almost all of the songs, lyrics and music for Cheap Trick, which is kind of weird. But he wrote this because at that time, again, Cheap Trick were virtually nobodies. They only had, I think, their third record, Heaven Tonight, just came out before this. They didn't get a lot of sound checks. So instead of playing one of their hits and kind of, because if you don't get a sound check, the first song is almost experimental, right? Because the right. guys are like working on like, okay, mic goes up, down, sound is bad, whatever. And they're kind of in real time trying to fix the sound during your first song. So he wrote this first song as a sound check kind of song. Isn't that funny?
Awesome.
Because it's kind of like just plodding, right? It's not melodic. It's just like, it's a song that he wrote specifically for sound check purposes. And they open the show with that.
And it works. Because this song opens up their In Color album, which is the one obviously just previous to what was it, Heaven Tonight? That was the third one?
That was the one that it was released just before this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's awesome. It's a great opener, and it's a great, sure, why not? It's a great way to just kick it off. And, as it goes from the announcer into just those power chords just to get it going, man, it's good. Yeah. It's great. It's exciting.
That's it. It's exciting, right? You can hear the crowd, and that's why I picked this live album, because, you hear live albums and you can hear the crowd, but this one is like, there's an electricity about this.
Well, in a lot of live albums, obviously, like they do dubs or overdubs and they add more to it, but it sounds like this had no, like, there, I don't know musically, but the crowd, there was no overdubbing of the crowd. This was all live crowd noise. There's
mistakes, actually, like a very egregious mistake, actually, in the last song. We'll get to it, and I'll tell you where it is. But what I love about this record, one of the things I love about this record is that there's integrity. So there's a mistake, a blatant mistake, and it's very audible, but they left it all in.
Oh, wow.
So you think about live records like Kiss Alive, for example, is barely a live record. So they overdubbed all over that. It's really, it's probably maybe 15% a live record. The rest of it was done, not live. So, and the band admitted that later on. What's that?
Right. I said phonies, big fat phonies.
I know. Well, yeah, but that's what I love about this record. It's completely live, except that it's Osaka and not Budokan, which is kind of funny. But
well, that's crazy to me. I can't believe that seems a little wild. What at Budokan just sounds better than at Osaka.
I don't know why they did that. I have no idea.
I do know that it was Sony Epic Sony Epic,
yeah,
I believe, and they were doing like a series of live at Budokan recordings. So I think maybe that had something to do with it.
Could be
wanting to record at Budokan and just kind of keep that as a series. I think Bob Dylan was the first one, and then Cheap Trick might have been the second one.
That's
and
right.
They wanted it to, make a series of that.
That's right. You know what? That's probably the answer. I forgot about that, because Dylan's Budokan record did come out too. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. There you go. I got some. Come on.
This. There you go. Put the fist up.
Come on.
Instantly recognizable. This song is as Cheap Trick. It's their sound.
Okay.
Like to a T. If you know anything about Cheap Trick, as soon as you hear the song, it's like, yeah, this is Cheap Trick. Like, bang.
Got it.
Yeah. Great tune.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The vocals and the way the guitars mix with each other and mix with the vocals. Yeah. I can see that being the tried and true Cheap Trick sound.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lookout is a song that was not released yet. The reason why it appears on this album is because Cheap Trick was big in Japan, and the record company there insisted that they have 3 new songs that had not been released yet, which is very odd, isn't it? At least 3. Look Out, Need Your Love, and Ain't That a Shame, which is a cover.
You know, fun music. I could just you could just see the like just having a good time. You know, it's like, you know, I can't really see that with Zeppelin. People like having a good time like you could at a Cheap Trick concert. Well,
it's women who are screaming. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just like, like guys shouting. Like, it sounds like it's all women, and they're just like losing their minds. If you listen to like I said, they're drowning the band out at some points.
Yeah. There's a lot. Would it, like, just for the music? Is it Robin Zander? Who is it they're screaming for?
I think it's Robin Zander.
Yeah.
So did you know that Motley Crue and Vince Neil?
I've heard of them.
The reason why Vince Neil was recruited into Motley Crue, as the legend goes, is that Tommy Lee knew him from high school, and he had seen his band that was called Rock Candy. And when they were looking for a singer, Tommy Lee said to Nikki Sixx, "Hey, I know this guy. His name is Vince Neil, and he does a really good Robin Zander. We should get him." And Nikki Sixx agreed, and that was a large kind of reason or consideration, in terms of how he got into the band. But Zander was like this kind of really cool, charismatic, figure. Him and the bass player, like I said, the 2 pretty boys in the band that people loved.
Yeah. And not even a founding member, Robin Zander, right? This was a band. This was Nielsen and Peterson, who came out of a band called Fuse, and then formed this. They found Robin and Bunny and put this band together. Yep.
Yeah. Interesting, eh? Just really interesting choice.
Totally.
It's like Tom said, let's get a guy who looks like me. And Nielsen said, I want a guy who looks like me. Isn't that weird? And you know what they do? What they do, this is kind of funny. If you look at Cheap Trick's records, the artwork, there's no artwork. It's all like mostly like pictures. But the pictures on Heaven Tonight in color, those 2 records are Zander and Peterson on the front, and on the back is the other 2 dudes. Heaven Tonight, same thing.
It's funny because as I was looking at those, I was like, man, this doesn't really seem like a band. Seems like a duo.
It does. It's like Hall & Oates, right? It's like, is there 2 guys in this band?
Exactly.
And then you flip it over.
It was like Hall & Oates.
The 2 like reprobates are on the back. Like, oh, who are these dudes? They don't sell.
Well, it's funny because even Heaven Tonight is like almost indicative of a Simon and Garfunkel type of album cover as well.
Totally.
So
yeah. And then you get the 2 flunkies on the back.
The guys on the back.
The desk cop and the geek.
That's funny. Yeah. Big Eyes.
Love. Maybe favorite record or favorite song on the record. And it's funny because the live versions,
you don't say.
It sounds like Run to the Hills at first. Did you notice that? Do, and then he hits the tom.
Oh.
Do. I just
interesting.
thought,
No, I didn't notice.
I wonder if they kind of nicked that. Maybe Iron Maiden did, because this came out in '78.
Oh, Iron Maiden. Yeah, I was gonna say, that would have been made.
Yeah, well, 4 years later, maybe they did. That. Who knows? Steve Harris.
Who knows?
Steve Harris.
Yeah, it's a cool song. It's a cool song. It's a little brooding. I like to use that word here. This is one of those songs where it's a little like, kind of like, what's going on? I don't know.
Big riff though, like cool big riff.
And again, just fun. Like they just have fun, man. Like they're just having fun with these tunes. Like obviously it's live, but really, really a live band. And I think their popularity came off of this, obviously, right? The live album and people wanting to see this. And that's what they were really proud of too, was their live show and the way that their songs came across in that live setting.
They're such a live band. you listen to the studio records, like go and listen to In Color. It's a great record, but like listen to like I Want You to Want Me. And it's so limp in comparison to the live version. Anytime you hear the live version actually, or the radio, playing the song, like it's the live version, because the studio version just sounds like almost like music. It's kind of funny. It's very, very limp, like I said.
Need Your Love sounds fantastic. I've been trying to find this song elsewhere. I don't know why, because this is my favorite song on the album.
Oh, nice. Wow, really?
Yeah, I love every minute of this song. It's like starts out super cool, Need Your Love, it's kind of like a little,
builds up,
funky, psychedelic-ish, and then, man, that last, I don't even know how long it is, like what, 4 minutes, 2.5 minutes of just wicked guitar riffs, and it's just so good.
Yeah. Well, a couple of those guitar riffs are familiar. If you listen closely, you can hear two blatant lifts. One of them is Bang a Gong, T-Rex. So go back and listen to it and you'll absolutely hear it. And the other one is TNT by AC/DC.
Okay.
Yeah. Go back and have a listen, and you'll hear both of those songs in Need Your Love. That's
interesting. There's some familiarity with it, I think, and maybe that's part of the reason why. I just love where they went with the instrumental on it. It's so good. So who played bass? Because I was watching a music video that is apparently live at Budokan. I don't know if it's actually live now. I don't know where they are anymore, but they were live somewhere. It said Budokan. Who's playing bass?
Tom Peterson.
Okay, because it didn't even look like he was playing. It looked like they had 3 electric guitar players on stage, but could have just been the quality of the video.
Too, I don't know.
He does. Yeah. Okay. All right. Just wanted a quick clarity on the bass player. Man.
At the very end of the song, Need Your Love.
Okay.
The very, very end. It's very weird because Xander, the music stops, and do you know what I'm about to say?
I don't know.
He's like just unaccompanied, and he says, "Need your love," in a very, very, and it sounds just like when you sing.
When I try.
Yeah, it totally does.
Except that he's been singing for hours, and I have been singing for 1 second.
So like, again, like go back and listen to that part.
Okay.
It just stands out, and it's always stood out for me. I've always thought what is he doing? Because he doesn't sing in his normal kind of, voice. It's like it's odd. It's always been peculiar, but it actually sounds a little bit like you when you're singing little bits on the show.
Whatever, man. I was thinking though too, and I just clued into this. This must be the end of side 1.
It is.
This song.
Yes.
Okay. Because the way it fades out, I was like, oh, it doesn't seem like why would they be fading out here? Like, why wouldn't they just be going into the next song? And then I just realized I clued in that it's the end of side 1. So I was kind of interested to know how much either was cut, or like what didn't make it, or how did they edit this, that part of putting this album together.
I always presume that with this record, because there's only 10 songs on it, and it's only, I think, like 40 minutes long or 41 minutes long, that they didn't put a lot of stock into it, and it was used for some other purpose. And I think that they did this to promote the next record, which came out right before this, called Heaven Tonight. Because what live record only has 10 songs and 40 minutes of music on it? Like, think about Frampton Comes Alive, just came out before this. Kiss Alive came out before this, which is like a double live record. Frampton's too. Right? So, and 20 years later, in 1998, they released the entire concert with all the songs in the proper order. And it was a double CD. So they cut a lot of stuff out of this. Yeah. Like songs like California Man, and a bunch of others. I don't know why but that's the only thing I can think of. I think it was just used as kind of a promotional item. They didn't put a lot of stock in, and they didn't really believe that it would be as successful as it was.
Ain't That a Shame kicks off side 2, and that's cool. That's a fun little cover. Fun little rendition.
They do a great job with it.
Yeah.
It's an old Fats Domino tune. 1955.
And again, like it just feels like it works, like it just really suits their sound, right? It just works alongside with what they're doing or what they were looking to do or be as a band.
And you can hear in the way that they work up to it that they've done their 10,000 hours in the clubs. You know, they were like a band out of the Midwest, I think. I don't remember exactly where they're from, but
Rockford, Illinois.
Is it Rockford? Yeah. So they played all the clubs, you know, ad nauseum for years and years and years and years. And you can hear that because they're tight. They're a good band. They sound great. They play well with each other. Yeah, like they're super tight. So you can hear that in Ain't That a Shame.
Yeah, the drumming to open this up is so good. I want you to want me. Okay? So I'm looking for attention. I want you to want me.
All right. I'm not going there, man. I'm not going to play your game.
Good, great live track. Great live song. Ton of fun live.
It just speaks to the power of Cheap Trick as a live band, because like I said, go back and listen. I think it's on In Color. If it's not, it's on Heaven Tonight, but it's a completely different song in the studio.
It totally does. Yeah, it's on In Color. It's like I went back and listened to it on In Color. So
okay, so it doesn't even like it's like I kind of feel like they hear it now and go, shit, I wish we could have like done that over again. We could have that one back. Yeah,
well, that's what they've said too. When they hear the In Color version, they're like they almost can't even listen to it. Like,
they do say that.
Turn it off.
See, that makes perfect sense, right? Because that's what I thought. I heard it and thought, oh, it's very watered down. It is.
Yeah. What a classic tune though, man. Like what a great tune. It just seems like a song you would hear and you'd be like, man, I knew where I was when the song came out. This was a big part of my life for in high school or whatever. Like, it just feels like that kind of a song, like Bad Version and all. It's just that type of classic type of melody and lyrics that you could just probably pinpoint exactly where you were when the song came out and what kind of an impact it had in your life.
Totally. Yeah. And the cool thing about this is that it casts such a wide net, right? Because you get the Aerosmith fans, you get the Blondie fans, you get like it all those, like it's just got such a wide reach. It's hard rock, it's power pop, it's danceable.
Who did Blitzkrieg Bop?
The Ramones.
Because the beginning of this, I'm like, are you ready, Steve? You know?
That's not Blitzkrieg Bop. That's Ballroom Blitz.
Ballroom Blitz. That's what I was trying to say.
Sweet.
Ballroom Blitz. Yeah.
Sweet.
You know what I mean?
And then, a band called Crocus actually covered that too in the 80s, which is kind of funny. Are you ready, Steve? Yeah, and they go through all the band numbers, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Let's go. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, Ballroom Blitz. Blitzkrieg Bop. You were right on the Ramones and Blitzkrieg Bop. I was wrong in the song that I was trying to reference. Classic.
I forget it.
Stupid Millennial, Surrender. Surrender is a nice follow-up to I Want You to Want Me. Great tune. Another great tune, like as a live song. Again, like I heard these before and I was like not a fan. And then I hear them on this album and you're like, I'm like converted.
So I was saying earlier, there's a lot of reasons that, people passively might gloss over Cheap Trick. But when you listen to the lyrics, one of the cool things about Cheap Trick is that Rick Nielsen wrote the lyrics, but they're dark and they're very funny and they're clever. And this is a great example because the first verse, if you listen to it, it's about a kid who's he's a boomer generation kid, but he's talking to his GI generation parents, right? And he's trying to figure them out. And so his mom says to him in the first verse, watch out who you're with because you never know what you'll catch. So she's talking about STDs. And he's like, oh, that's kind of weird. And she said, I know because, there's soldiers, and she said, she makes a reference that their penises are falling off because of these STDs that they have. And the reference is, there's Indonesian junk that's going around, right? So it's this STD. So anyway, he kind of like questions that, the kid does. And then the dad comes in the second verse and says, well, your mom knows because she was, in the WACS in Philippines. But the WACS is the Women's Army Corps. And so the kid is impressed, and he's like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like, I didn't, I thought they only recruited old maids for the war. And I know that mom's not one of those. I've known her all these years, right? So it's really cool because it's like this conversation that's going on between the mom and the dad and the kid. And then the third verse is the funniest because he says he comes in, or he wakes up and he sees his mom rolling around on the couch with the dad, right? Rolling numbers, smoking dope, rock and rolling, got my Kiss records out. They're listening to his Kiss records. And he's like, my parents are actually cool after all. They're just a little bit weird. Surrender, but don't give yourself away. It's fantastic. It's such a great song. And they give
I had no idea of any of that.
Yeah. Again, just go back and listen to it, and it just opens you up. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think you were going to say they give a bit of a shout out to Kiss there, right?
Well, the last line is like, got my Kiss records out.
Yeah.
His parents are listening to his Kiss records. But they said Kiss because they used to open for Kiss, and Kiss was very supportive of them and helped them out quite a lot in their career. So they wanted to give them a little shout out.
That's cool. Cool. Well, even Paul Stanley had mentioned that, that a lot of the bands they have their influences, and then when they make it big, they forget their influences. And he said it was great that Cheap Trick still, referenced their influences in their music, and he thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and they do, and that's what I like about them. Like I said, they respect their forebears and they respect their peers, and I love
Brent's
that.
Mixing a drink. Everybody drink.
Sorry.
Everybody have a sip.
Yeah.
We have a sip. Okay. Brent's mixing a drink.
This is the portion of the program where what did they do when you watched the movie? There was like a little intermission. It was like, let's all go to the, what was it called? The canteen.
Yeah.
Let's all go to the canteen, and the cartoon, and all the family goes up and has a little hot dog and a pop and a
sure. I don't know, Brent. Yeah, I'm too young for the intermission song
let's all
experience.
Go to the canteen. Okay. Let's all go to the canteen.
Yeah.
Cheers, everybody.
When you mentioned that, cheers. You mentioned the You mentioned the Indonesian junk thing. I just thought I actually thought that was a reference to heroin. But
no, I could see that. No, it's
that was what I was thinking. Was more of a drug song because mommy's all right, daddy's all right. They're just, what is it? Mommy's all right, daddy's all right.
They just seem a little weird.
They just seem a little weird. Yeah, so I just thought it was a drug reference, but they're all a little weird.
Nope. Well, there is a drug reference in the very last verse, rolling numbers.
Yeah.
So my mom's smoking weed with my dad, and they're rolling around on the couch together.
I didn't pay much attention to the lyrics. I was just rocking out. I was just one of those 12,000 Japanese women just enjoying myself.
Were you screaming in ecstasy?
I was in the car. I really wanted I just wanted to have the full experience. So I just cranked it up, and I was just driving down the 400.
Oh, wow.
So,
I'm a lyrics guy. I just love all the inner workings of music, as you know, obviously, almost to the point of like being geeky. But
well, you should be. That's why we have this show, so you can come in and tell me what I missed. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. You got to tell me and the other guys out there.
We should have a follow-up series where we go back through the records, and you have to come back and say, "Oh, I did listen to that, and here's what I heard." Da, 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 da.
No, because I've already forgotten what I was supposed to go back and do on the last album, so it wouldn't last very long.
No,
but it's good. It's good thought. It's a good thought. Mark them down. We'll throw it up on the Reddit page there if you listen closely. Good Night is, just a new rendition of Hello there, which is a companion song. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool way to
it's cool
before the encore.
And that's just the golden age of rock. When you think about, I always say between 75 and like 81, 82, like the best rock.
Yeah.
Maybe not, a lot of great bands were going on, during that time. And stuff like this was part of the reason why, it was just easy. There were no concerns about, are people going to like this? Like, is this something that maybe we shouldn't do because it's the same song over again? It was just cool, laid back and cool. So the next song now, Clock Strikes 10, is where that very audible mistake is that they left in, and I'm so glad they did.
Okay.
So if you listen closely, Alex.
Tune up your speakers, folks.
Well, you don't even have to. That's the cool thing about this. So Rick Nielsen plays, and in the studio song, the studio version rather, it's Big Ben, the chimes, do 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 do, strikes every hour.
Yeah.
He plays that on the guitar. He plays the first go through fine, but in the second one, and I think it's the fourth note, and you can hear it at 9 seconds in, the 9-second mark, he plays the wrong note. And it's weird because it's not even close to, like, you hear it and go, oh, and they just kept it in. Like, they just keep rolling. It's great. But that's the live experience.
I know. For sure. No, I know what you're talking about. You know what? It didn't even bother me. It almost was like, it was like you did your ode to Big Ben in the first one, and the second one was your own, and then you kicked right into the song.
But the studio version, he does the chimes twice.
No, I believe it. It just didn't stand out as like, boy, it just still worked. But yes, I know you're talking about it, and it's very cool. Yeah, that they did keep that in. Totally.
Mm-hmm. I love
You're
it.
right. That's the live experience. A lot of, there was even like some drumming, actually, even like hiccups, I feel like, in Come On
mm-hmm.
at times as well, that you kind of just feel like something went off. But again, like you allow it, it doesn't completely destroy the feel of the song, but
it adds to the feel of the song.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. The human element, right?
That's it. Yeah. Eddie Van Halen. Mistakes are what make the music good.
You know what I need? I need like a drum roll sound effect. Now maybe that would work. Drum roll sound effects for prior to the rating.
Oh, right. Yes, that would be good.
It's good. It's fun. 4.5. 4.5 out of 5.
4.5, eh?
I spoke very highly of it. But and it was good. It's good. No, it is good. It's good. I'll go back and put some of these songs on. But the feeling I get out of a 5, I didn't get that here. Okay. But it's still really good. So I guess I could always do like what, 4.7, 4.8 or something.
I did that previously.
I don't know how to do that with the faces.
4.75.
Make the face like, like I know I could do like that. It's 4.5, right? Cut the face in half. What is this like a?
Just like that.
4. There we go. 4.7.
There you go.
Did I make my point?
No, I don't know what you were doing there. What was that?
It's fine. Doesn't matter. 4.5. Doesn't matter. I was just trying to cover doesn't matter. 4.5. Yeah.
You know what you should do? Is that little hand thing.
It's going away. It's gone. It's never coming back. You want to watch it? You want to hear it again? Go watch the Boston episode.
I couldn't breathe. Like, I was worried that I was going to have a stroke. I was laughing so hard. And I watched that back, when you send the edits of the show over, and I was dying. I watched that over and over, and I was laughing so hard.
I was so confident that I was going to cut that out. I was like, there's no way this is going to stay in the episode. There's absolutely no way I'm going to look the fool. And you could tell that on my face when I was saying I'm cutting this out. I was this is not making it in.
Don't even totally go in this out.
Oh, yeah. Some grumbling. Robber.
See, people loved it, though. I get so many great messages about that. People are like, that was so funny.
Your co-host's an idiot.
No, that's not at all what was conveyed to me.
Good. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the love. Such embarrassing moments in my life. What's next? What do you got following Cheap Trick live at Budokan?
I've got an album called Foreigner 4. Let's do that
Foreigner 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you heard it?
Trying to
You've heard one song. You've heard 2 songs from it. Waiting for a Girl Like You and Urgent. You've heard those 2 songs.
Oh, I don't know. I was going to say Hot Blooded.
No, not from that record.
Not from that record.
No,
I don't know. Maybe once I hear them, I'll know, but I don't know them off by name. So, okay, great. Here we go.
What you think of that?
Here we go.
I think you're gonna like it.
Foreigner. I never thought about getting into Foreigner, obviously.
See, I want to be very clear. That's why I'm bringing all these records up, right? I'm not a Boston fan, as you know, but I want you to hear this stuff. I want you to hear Foreigner. I want you to hear, Deep Purple. That's what this whole thing is about. And people say, why would you bring a record on that you don't like? Because it's not about whether or not I like it. It's whether or not you should hear it. It's whether or not you should have that general knowledge. I
should. Absolutely. I'm with you. Well, that's what it is now. It did start out with the Brent chosen favorite albums, right? And now we're just evolving with it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of setting the stage in terms of like trying to show you how classic rock works and the general rudiments of everything and the genealogy and all that stuff, right? But now we're like 50 episodes in, so it's going to get a little bit different now.
Cool.
There's still a lot of records to go.
Nice.
Yep.
All right.
I got them.
Great.
I'm bringing them.
We got a lot. We got to at least get to 100 episodes. Okay, Brent?
Oh, we will, for sure.
At least get to 100 episodes.
Yep. Okay. That's our goal. 100 episodes.
Yeah. 100 episodes. It's great.
We can do that.
And like 300 subscribers. I think we're at like 212. So if you're watching, you haven't subscribed.
Subscribe.
Help us get to that. Subscribe.
Head
to the 300. Help us get to the 300 mark.
Come on. It doesn't cost anything, and you don't get notices. So I think that people think if they subscribe, they're going to, be inundated with all of these emails and whatever else. There's nothing.
That'll only happen when we start up our email newsletter.
What? Show me that glass.
Nothing.
What's in there?
Oh, this is just water. Oh, just water.
Oh.
Yeah. A little parched. It's kind of warm and dry in this room.
Must be. It's that cardigan.
It's the cardigan. I feel like I could sand the walls with my tongue.
Yeah. Wake up in the middle of the night. Have a pee. Put your cardigan on. A couple times a night. Cold. God damn it. Parched.
Okay. Foreigner 4. Foreigner 4.
Why are you still up? Past your bedtime.
Past my bedtime. It's past your bedtime. Get out of here. I probably got an episode of ours to go edit. Yeah. Yeah. In today's news, old man yells at cloud. That's right.
Hey man, I don't see a cardigan anywhere around here.
See, you were a bully in school, making fun of my cardigan.
It's not.
All right, make fun of my cardigan. What's wrong with me? This cardigan's from England.
How long is it?
It's made with sheep's wool.
Wow, sheep's wool, eh? How long? Show the oh my.
What do you mean? Oh my! It's a friggin' cardigan.
Okay.
It goes up to here.
It's beautiful.
Like just below the bottom of the pocket. You know the pocket hole.
Just very striking.
Good night, Brent. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.